Welcome to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, thanks for joining us this week. So every week as you tune in, change is hard. I get it. So I have a free gift for you, hopefully to help you navigate the roads or the winds of change a little bit easier. So my free communication style assessment, very powerful stuff where it helps you identify what are your natural communication superpowers and how do we leverage that. It also provides a report as to your lowest style or your biggest blind spot. Again, kind of important information. So go to whitmanassociates.com/CSA, my gift to you. Now, my motivational quote today is by Charlotte Eriksson, and Charlotte says, "Sometimes you need to sit lonely on the floor in a quiet room in order to hear your own voice and not let it drown in the noise of others." I really love this quote when I was writing my show notes. Sitting and thinking so we hear our own genius and be able to drown out all the noise is critical to build a business that's worthwhile, profitable, and really to be in service of others in a super big way. So we do have to rise above all the noise in this digital playing field that we find ourselves in. Why is this so important, and how the heck do we do this? Well, of course, I have an amazing guest, and we're going to dig in and really discuss what a genius-driven business is and why, more than ever, this is super important to understand and even craft and create. So I am beyond excited to introduce my wonderful friend. I'm honored that he's my friend and guest, Jim Niswonger. Now, Jim is the owner of Enlightened Profit, and he helps mission-driven coaches, consultants, and other experts sell more of their products and services by helping them zone in on a clear message so they can show up bigger and serve their clients bigger. So, Jim, thank you for being on. I love having you and hanging out with you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is, everyone really sit tight. This is going to be a profound episode, in my opinion. Jim and I have been talking a lot lately. He's helping me with my messaging. And of course, this is his zone of genius. So, Jim, first question. Now, you say that every business has a sacred destiny. What do you mean by that?
So here's what I mean by it. Is that every business has three critical factors that could drive it. They don't always drive it, but they're always present. And so the business owner has some capacity, some capabilities that nobody else has. So they have this potential. They have desires. There's some reason that they're really in the business, and it's more than just probably what's on the surface. And then the third is that they have a vision of what's possible. And so when I think about the sacred destiny of your business, it is that combination of what is your unique potential, your unique vision, and your unique set of desires. And so that's what I call the sacred destiny. And we also have a practical destiny. And here's where most people come into problems, is that the practical destiny, that's what you're going to get. Sacred destiny is where you can point, but your practical destiny is what you're going to get. And so you have to align the three factors of your practical destiny to achieve the sacred destiny. So the practical destiny, those three factors are the amount of effort, work that you're willing to put in, the actions that you're willing to take. Then there is I call it the design of your business, but it's how your business is designed, who it's designed to serve, how it turns your unique expertise into actually impact in the world. And then the third is, what game are you really playing? Because a lot of people, so there's this big concern that I have when people talk about business. There's it's popular for a lot of people to say, and I've been saying it for decades, that the purpose of business is to make money. And I don't agree with that. I think that's the wrong game for most of us. Now, does a business need fuel? Absolutely. Does a human being need oxygen? Absolutely. And so I think we're much better off when we realize that money is fuel for a mission that matters to us if we're going to be in business, instead of money being that end objective, because money is going to leave us unfulfilled if that's the only thing we're getting.
This is so true. And you and I, we've talked about this at such great length. So here's another question, right? Because the listeners have never heard, like they haven't been a fly on our wall as we've chatted
Right.
about this. We've done the deep dive. So with those two, right, the vision, the destiny, and then you have on the other side the practical, right, the application piece. Where do you see people really get stuck and business owners really get stuck in those two paradigms? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think there's so oftentimes, so it can go one of two ways. So there's a gap between the two. And so often what people do, okay, yeah, this pains me to even say, but it's my observation, is that so there's this destiny that I could be achieving that would make me feel like the fullest version of myself in the world, feel like I'm here for a reason, that my business actually matters. But instead, we start lowering our targets to what we think we can achieve, to what other people's opinions and expectations are. Like we start following everybody else's rules. We start trying to fill in other people's templates, and that other people's rules, other people's templates, other people's paths do not go to your sacred destiny. They go someplace you don't want to go, but we follow them anyway because we feel like there's safety in numbers, but those numbers are mediocrity. And so that's why it's painful for me to say, because we do so much of that lowering. And so one of my favorite quotes is from Michelangelo, something to the effect of, the problem for most people is not that we aim too high and miss, it's that we aim too low and hit.
Ain't that the truth, right? Good is truly the enemy of great. That when things are good, we go, they're good, right? And we don't do anything to change or propel forward or rise because things are good. We become super complacent. The other thing that I love with your model, with these two pieces, right? What that destiny is, and then the practicality, the application, so we can get crap done, right? And make money. I mean, that's the objective of being in business. We all have bills, right? We all work because hopefully because you desire, right? And you're charged up by whatever your zone of genius is. But on the flip side, we do work because clearly we have bills to pay. Nobody is void of that, I would imagine. But I think that this level of mediocrity, we see it everywhere. Everybody is just going through motions. And I think, and that's not a put down, Jim, and I know you feel this way as well. It's not a put down. It's just that we get so caught up in the noise and the everyday, and you see somebody making money over here and we think, oh, that's what I need to do. And then you see somebody over here and oh, that's what I need to do. And we never really zone in on what is my business's destiny, right? What is that sacred destiny? Why did I start my business? There's some type of vision there. Why am I kind of leaving that on the table? And that's unacceptable. That mediocrity is unacceptable. Do you find that most business owners don't even realize that they get caught up in that trap? Because it's a trap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And to me, it's so much of what you're saying right there relates to the opening quote. We don't even know what the heck we think. We don't know what we feel. We're not alone with ourselves to know, like, whoa, hey, I'm on this short, wild ride on the planet. Who am I serving here? Am I serving really the destiny that I was born with, that I was locked into from that moment I took my first breath? Or am I just running around as some sort of character trying to chase all these things that other people say I should chase? Like there's some cartoon that I think is funny that I've seen, like this dog dressed up in a business suit walking next to some sort of executive, and the dog is saying to him, yeah, best I can tell, this is like an elaborate game of fetch you're playing here.
That's great. What an image, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And as you were just describing that, that sense of, I'm going to use chasing the tail just because you did the dog image there. But when you and I first met, and we met about just shy of a year ago, Jim helped me with my webinar, my workshop. And as we were meeting, and he asked a lot of questions, right? That's kind of his jam. And then he really understands to be able to help you craft your message and really zero in on your, genius in business. And so, Jim, I don't know if you remember this, but one of the conversations, because I had just been on a networking thing and they were talking about quizzes and how great quizzes are. And then I meet with Jim immediately after. And I said, Jim, I'm curious, what do you think about quizzes? And Jim, right, you said to me, well, I think they're good. Why? And then I went through, I heard in a quiz and da, da, da. And then Jim very calmly says to me, Connie, don't you have your communication style assessment? What I offered you at the start of the show. I'm like, yeah, but that's an assessment. He goes, assessment quiz. We're saying the same thing. So it's a really silly example of how we chase our tail and what's the next best thing. So somebody said quiz, it turned me on. I go to Jim. I'm like, what do you think? Right. The insanity of that. And Jim, right when you said it to me, I went, oh, yeah, it's the same thing, because we don't stop for that moment of silence to say, wait, I have a quiz, right? Thank God I spoke with you immediately after, because I would have been doing the nosedive, right? Doing the deep dive about the quiz. So it's silly things like that you're also a very good listener, I think, clearly, to, put the pieces together. But does that happen a lot with your clients as well? Because I think I'm pretty intelligent.
Oh yeah, no, this is not at all a question of intelligence. So here's like this fascination that I have about humans, especially people who are learning, growing, evolving, especially when it comes to business. So what happens is there's this continual process of we learn something and stuff that we're actually doing, not stuff that like, oh, I studied this or I watched some videos or whatever, but things that we're actually doing. We develop this unconscious competence that disappears from our awareness. We don't have to think about it anymore. And so guess what we do? We undervalue it because we don't have to think about it. And so think about it, just like even the last time that you've driven, like if you've tried to, unless it was like, extreme conditions for some reason, but just under normal conditions, if you try to think about that, you can't remember that whole journey because you're doing so much of it on autopilot because you are a skilled, experienced driver. We do the same thing in our businesses, and we undervalue the things that are easiest for us and that happen to be the things that would be the most valuable for the right people if we select the right clients. So it's this continual process of gaining amazing expertise and then discounting it to ourselves. And so it's so human and so fascinating to me.
I know, I do it too, right? We all do it.
We all do.
Yeah. A lot of times it was very cute. One time we met and I was very frustrated and, I feel like I'm not delivering. And Jim texted me later and he goes, please own your greatness, like you moron, but very gently and very lovely text. And it made me feel good because I thought, we do beat ourselves up. We do discount our zones of genius. Again, everybody could do that. And that's really, really not the case. All right. We keep using the word genius business, right? When you talk about the genius driven business, what do you mean by that? Because this is super, super important.
Yeah. Okay. So here, there's a thing that feels important to weave in here, this Einstein quote that I pulled up. So a lot of people resonate with this one. Every time I see it shared quite often, and I love it myself. But he says, great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Okay, great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Okay, so most of us can take this perspective that is a bad thing. And I'm going to tell you, it's the best thing in the world because this is why. So when I look at genius, when I think about genius, it is this The other words that I would call similar to it are spirit, are life force energy, divine wisdom. So it's this thing that comes through us that is greater than us, that we can't really own in certain ways. But that clashes with, it's in opposition to mediocre minds and mediocre situations, mediocre minds within ourselves. And so we have to overcome all of those circumstances. And that's what creates what I call mastery. So genius is the force, it's the energy, it's the divine flowing through us. But it only matters if we turn it into mastery, which means we can go into specific situations and create results. If we can't create results, genius is irrelevant. And so then a genius-driven business then is where we take our highest level of mastery. We direct it to meaningful challenges that we care about. And I also believe that we have this divinely assigned audience as well, that the people who are most ready, most able to benefit from our mastery and who care about that challenge that we care about. So we're going to help them solve that thing. They're going to pay us money. We're going to get fulfillment because we're using our gifts for the greatest good that we know. And we're going to slip into these zones that are joyful, that are magical, because we're working with the right people and time disappears. And so to me, that's what the essence of it is.
And what a way to run a business, right? Dealing with people you love and that love you, are willing to exchange the energy of money. They grow and make more money. You grow and make more money. It's like just this win trifecta, win, win, win of everybody that comes to the table through this divine essence, I'm going to say. That's when the magic really does happen, because it's a match made in heaven, no pun intended with that, but it's that match made in heaven.
Right.
Can you go ahead?
Just real quick. So yeah, and I don't believe that we're just here to expand joy, fulfillment, and prosperity for ourselves. I believe we're here to do that for others. And so it's when it lines up, I mean, that's when life and business is magical. And to me, I just I'm at this place for myself personally that I don't even take on a client if it's not magical. If I have a conversation and there's no magic, they don't get an offer from me, period. I don't care if I have something they want and they have money in their pocket. If there's no magic, there's no offer. I refuse to operate any other way.
Can you give us an example when you say mastery? Can you give an example so that, because I think humans, we think, oh, I'm good, but it's that element of, am I really master at that? So can you give an example?
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of times we get a little carried away with trying to think of mastery in too big of a way. So just back to that driving example, you are a master at noticing, okay, there's some movement over there. Is that a kid running towards the road? What is that thing? Do I need to brake? Do I need to swerve? Like there are these. So mastery is situational. In the moment, do I know how to manage this thing right here, this thing right in front of me? And so it's all, and of course we have like a bunch of these that combine. And so much of like what we've talked about with your sales skills, where you've told me about just some of the examples of how you tell somebody, okay, go out there to that person in the bank floor and ask them these 3 questions and watch what happens. That is mastery. And it's like right there in a little situation. Does it mean that you are a master of all sales situations forever, any place? No, but none of us need to be that.
Yeah, and that was a silly story, and it's true. And it was cute because the employee came back and said, "You're a witch." I said, "Why am I a witch?" She goes, she ended up getting like 3 or 4 pieces of business from the questions I asked, right? That was the ultimate. Right. And she happened to see that client every day for the whole year. And only asked them, hey, how's business, but never asked them the questions I gave specific, where she literally had, he was saying, yeah, I need that. Yeah, I need that. And ended up getting 3 new pieces of business or 4 new pieces of business. So yeah, it's not being a witch or a wizard. That's the mastery, right? Of seeing the situation and knowing what to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to update even my definition then of mastery. Mastery unlocks the potential in the situations that are invisible to other people. She didn't even know that the potential was there, much less how to access it. You gave her simple things to access it and extract that potential that was sitting right there under her nose.
Which is funny when it happens, right? Because for me, that's the biggest success, when you literally see the light bulb in their head go off. And now she had that skill. She knew how to use that skill going forward, right? In that moment, I taught her, she executed, she continued to grow, and it actually ended up getting promoted, which was her full intention with all of the learning and coaching. Wonderful, right? That's like the best story ever.
Exactly.
Talk to me about, what are the main goals of controlling, that's probably the wrong word, but what are the main goals of a genius-driven business?
Yeah. So to me, it still comes back to those things. It is the expansion for you and for everybody that you touch, the expansion of joy, fulfillment, prosperity, finances. That to me, if we sacrifice any one of those things for a certain type of people, like, some people, it seems like maybe they're wired to just to be focused on money. And I don't want to say anything bad about that if that's how somebody's wired. But for most of us, that, at least the people that I talk to, like, we need this combination. And so then, so I believe that it's really about doing those things as the fuel. But let me go back to weave in another piece then. And so I personally am excited about, for myself and working with people, that the goal of their business is to discover, embody, and live as the best possible version of themselves. Why should we escape our business or our career to be the best version of ourselves? It's not the overall best version, but the best version for this. We're a different best version as a spouse, as a parent, as whatever. But to me, it's like, if we're not encountering, to me, this is like the sacred, the spiritual part. This is the enlightenment part. If we aren't touching upon that sacred nature that lives within us, what the hell are we doing it for? Like, we can get those other things. We can get money in other ways. We can do things. But to me, like, this is like, I'm 57 now, and just, I'm becoming more and more aware of what a short ride this is. So why waste it?
Yeah. We're aging, right, Jim? We don't want to admit it, and we're fighting it every step of the way. But it's true. As we get older, our perspectives change. What's fascinating to me, because obviously I deal, and I know you do too, but we deal with a lot of younger business owners. Well, younger for us, especially, right? And it is what it is. That's the part of life that we're in. But even my listenership on the show is getting younger, which I find so fascinating, because I think the younger folks and the younger business owners and the younger people, in their careers, they're more curious and open to learning about the spiritual side of self and business than I think I ever was when I was younger. I don't even think spirituality, or, the core, your mission or vision or desire for your business. It was always, you start a business, you serve, you make money. It was always like a means to an end, not that the business would create its own life force in essence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Things are definitely shifting. There's some generational stuff that, for people in our age range, we were raised in an era with parents, to a large degree, at least for most people, being in careers for long periods of time. And so we just kind of accepted that that's the way that it is. And yeah, this world is so different. And I'm glad to see that people are starting to see at an
Too.
earlier age, like, whoa, wait a minute, I can chart a path here versus follow somebody else's prescribed path of working in this job or career for
True.
20 or 30 years. And sure, they'll pay me money. They'll tell me when to take vacations. They'll limit what I'm able to do. And they'll have some unreasonable expectations of me, but oh, what the heck, at least there's security. Like people are becoming less and less wired for that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a good thing. That's where innovation and all these other great things come from. What are the biggest challenges that you see high level experts, right? And I'll put myself and you in that, zone of genius, right? So high level experts having with their business and marketing.
So to me, one of the biggest things is what we were just talking about, how expertise disappears from our awareness into our body. It's mastery, it's in there. And then we don't have like this logical connection to it. Like we can't just retrieve it like memories and like this thing happened. Like it's a different type of knowledge when it is actually embedded within us. It is really what people call participatory knowing. It's so like with the driving, you've been driving so long, I've been driving so long that it's just like there's this knowledge in our bodies about it. Same thing happens with our mastery. And so then when it comes to marketing, so what happens is we feel like not only do we feel like, but a lot of happens is we oversimplify what it is that we're talking about, because we don't need all the reference points, because the reference points are in our body. We know what we mean when we say, okay, this thing or that thing. And then the problem is the people that we're speaking to, the people who need the information, the coaching, the help, whatever it is, they don't have those reference points in their bodies, but they understand English. And so they understand the words that we're saying, but have no clue about what we mean as an experienced person. And so the art of translating that mastery into a place where they can hear and understand it in a way that they can take meaningful action, that's one of the biggest challenges by far. And so the way I go about that is, from experience with working with me, is that I need to understand what's in there, what you think, how you think, all of these things, so that I can extract the structure, because that there is a structure to it always. People may or may not be aware of it. And so I'm looking for that hidden structure that's disappeared into, it's wired within you now. And so like you don't have to think about it. And so I have to find it, pull it out, and then articulate it, translate it to people then who don't have that already, so that they can see like, whoa, okay, here are the things that I'm missing. Here's what I need to be paying attention to, and all of that sort of thing. And so it's just this translation of this stuff that is becomes so innate to us, to people who don't have the hands-on experience but understand the language. So it's so misleading of like, oh, I know what embodiment means, or I know what the enlightenment of change means. Oh yeah, no, I know those words. Yeah, maybe you do, but do you know what I mean when I say them? Do I know what you mean when you say them? Whatever.
It's true. Think of the last time you went to a movie, anybody who's done that recently, but you go with friends, right? You leave the movie, you go get a cup of coffee or something after to sit and chat about the movie, and you talk, same movie, same moment in time, right? Everything is the same, all the environmental stuff. You having your cup of coffee, you start discussing this one section, right? A pivotal moment or a pivotal point in the movie, and you both have two different perspectives, same exact stimuli at the moment. So that's the breakdown in sales, that's the breakdown. I think I'm articulating to my client, and my client is fully understanding or hearing something totally different as they process it through their own filters. So there's So it's really, this is hard stuff, guys. We're not saying this is an easy, quick fix, but I will share with you, and I want to give, we're almost out of time, but I want to give two really clear examples of the genius that Jim brings when you have these conversations with him. So recently, well, let me talk last year when we were working on the workshop, Jim, you created a story using the three little pigs, right? And if anybody's interested, you could go listen to my, or join my workshop, because I'll share that story. But you took something that everybody knows, the three little pigs, as I'm saying this, even people that grew up in different cultures outside of the United States know what the three little pigs story is. So immediately you ground that knowledge into something that is shared and understood right at the core of what the three little pigs were about, and running from the wolf, right? It's the same thing with sales. I just put this, well, you helped me put the spin on it with sales. And then this year, when we started meeting to reiterate and make it even better, right, to make this mastery even more easily understood, you said to me, and this blew my mind, because I never thought about this, but Jim said to me, Connie, the bottom line is you have two camps of people that you're talking to in these workshops. I go, I do? And his response was, sure. You have the people who they're just not in front of enough of people, right? So their message could be brilliant, but they're just not in front of enough bodies, to get the results they need. So that's one camp. Then the other camp is they're in front of the bodies, but their ratios are low, meaning they're not making the sales or leaving money on the table because they're not creating packages and cross-selling and all these other things. And right, Jim? And I looked at you and I went, oh, yeah, that would be the two perspectives, right? Now, I had never said that in the previous workshops. So some people, maybe how I phrase things, thought, well, I don't even have enough people to get my eyes on. Forget about Connie helping me with my ratios, where that's a whole different set of problems. But the sales process is the sales process, right? So you could get there no matter which camp you're in. So it's things like that. That's the kind of differentiation, I think, Jim, that we do not have the ability. We do have the ability. We don't know how to tap into that simple frame of reference. We have two camps, Connie. Like you said it so matter-of-factly, yet it never dawned on me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah, and we're all so close to whatever we're doing that it's challenging. So, and I have it, and it's why I have coaches as well. So yeah, no big surprise. Like I'm not, yeah, it's this thing of being too close. Then back to, like, I feel a little bit like a broken record of, like, all of this stuff just disappears within us. And so then we don't even consider it. We don't think about it. And then since I don't have your references within me, then I'm just like, oh, well, don't you see this thing that's right here? Don't you see you have a quiz? You just told me about it. Like, I don't understand what you're doing.
He's very kind when he calls you, like, really, Connie, what are you talking about? And he's always very gentle and kind. But see, Jim, that is your zone of genius, my friends, because you allowed me to talk and talk and talk. And then he would come back. I give paragraphs of information, and Jim would say, oh, so what you're saying is literally, oh, you have two camps, ba-boop and ba-boop. And I was like, uh-huh. So, but see, that's the frustration. I think that we all think our message is so clear, and then we get crickets. We don't get the response. We don't make the sales, whatever it is, right? The money's not coming in that we had hoped. It's because something is missing. And I believe it's at this core level that we don't even understand what our genius driven business is, let alone our own a genius within, and then complementing, like you said on the onset, right, that divinity versus the practicality, and then blending them together. It's complicated. And the funny thing is, it sounds complicated. The reality is it's easier than you think if you have someone like Jim in your corner who's defining and pulling and reprogramming in a way, right? Because I thought about things that I haven't thought about in 30 years, Jim, as we were talking. And that was really impactful, because you forget all of the good that you had done, because we're on to the next thing. We don't ever go back and reflect. And that's just a nice opportunity as well, working with you. I felt that you feel even more empowered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to me, that just back to just another piece of like genius driven business is, if you know that within you is a next version of your work.
Yeah.
Something within there when you're quiet, when you're by yourself, of like, oh, I know there's something more within me. Like it can be scary to do those things, especially when we go and we talk to people who are, if they have a vested interest in us keeping doing what we're doing, or if they have like, oh no, but I do it this way, or that sort of thing. People like to impose their values and their thoughts upon us. And to me, like the thing that I feel like I do best is I want for you what you want for you. I don't want for you what I want for you, because that just doesn't make sense for me. This is a conversation we have in our house all the time, that Shelley and I, we both want for our kids what they want for themselves.
That's right.
Who are we to impose on the world what the world should want for themselves? And there's this quote that is like, I cried like 3 or 4 times about reading this thing today. And so just I have to share it. And so this is a person named Langston Hughes. I don't even know who he is. I haven't heard of him before today, but he says, perhaps the mission of an artist is to interpret beauty to people, the beauty within themselves. And so I was pondering this, and I'm just like, okay, when do I and how do I decide not to be the artist that I'm here to be? How do I decide at times to not see and show people the beauty within themselves?
Yeah.
Because I also have the experience of the people that love to work with me. This is the reason, is because I find and show them the beauty that is in there. And I'm like, holy crap, check this out. Let's sell this stuff. And to me, that's what it's about, is the greater that we can do that, the greater good that we're doing in the world, because we're all undervaluing the majesty, the beauty of what it means to be a human being inside the body.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen, brother. Yeah. And that's a beautiful quote and just a beautiful sentiment. And you live and breathe that. And that's why I'm honored that you're my friend, and that you choose to work with me makes me so happy because I do appreciate your zone of genius, and you appreciate and value my zone of genius. And that's magic, right? That's when the magic starts happening. Everyone, I do think you need Jim in your life. So I'm going to share him. I promise I will share him generously. So if you want information, or you want to touch base or reach out and ask him questions directly, please go to his email. It's jim@geniusdriven.biz, which is BIZ, or go to his website, which is geniusdriven.biz, BIZ, again. And I will also, Jim puts amazing content out there on Facebook, very thought-provoking. I feel like a lot of my responses to him are amen, brother, or holy crap, that was a good one, because it's like these always very direct hits with what you're feeling and thinking. And then Jim creates some kind of content that is just motivating and moving. So I will post his Facebook link as well. I highly recommend you connect with him there too. And it's Jim, Niswonger 7, but I'll put it in the show notes, because Niswonger is spelled weird and you won't find him. And this way it's just easy to find him. So again, Jim@geniusdriven.biz or geniusdriven.biz if you want to check out his website. Jim, thank you as always for just sharing yourself so openly and so generously, and for making us or helping us understand that we're freaking amazing, right? And our businesses are just like awesome sauce, and how to get out there and just do bigger and better for the world. And I do believe if we can do what you're describing and what we talked about in the show, if every one of us individually, whether you have a career or business, doesn't matter, but if individually we could bring our genius to the market, to our job, to our business, and share it with the world, it'll make the world a better place, and we improve each other one person at a time. And I think that's our, you said it before, it's our responsibility with our level of genius that we should be sharing it with the world to make it a better place. So thank you so much for your wisdom and your thoughts and your generous soul. I so appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's fun, and I like just having the freedom just to let it rip, whatever's on my mind at the moment.
Yeah, but it works, and that's why your Facebook posts are so I think inspiring, because you speak from the heart, and it's a truth, and all of a sudden it allows me to pause and think, well, I never thought of that, or I had thought about that, I put it away, I need to circle back to that thought process or whatever it might be. So your content's amazing. Keep it coming. I personally enjoy it. So thank you again for that too.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you. Always a pleasure hanging with you, my friend. All right, you guys, I'm glad that you join me weekly, and I hope you continue to join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together, no matter where you are in this life-changing, the enlightenment of change process for yourself. I hope my guests and I not only provide good content and good resources of information, but also actionable tips for you to take and start to implement to create the change that you're looking for in your life. I truly am honored to have you on this journey with me. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.next. I truly look forward to seeing you all next week with additional best content that I could bring to the table and share with you all. Thanks so much. And I'll see you all next week. Have a good one.